man, here we are. Fall is upon us. We have turned the calendar from August to September. Here we are at September. It's the official month when most hunting seasons start. And you can hunt something, you know, doves, squirrels. A lot of places can bow hunt early in September. Ours don't start here till October, so we got a little bit of time still to wait. But I may go somewhere late September and do some bow hunting. But I'm ready to get out and do some dove hunting. I'm ready to get out and maybe do a little squirrel hunting. Kind of get the dust knocked off of me a little bit. You know, been sitting inside all summer, and it's since turkey season, and kind of, you know, feeling the creaks and the stiffness, and just sitting around and, you know, kind of drooling, waiting to get back out here in the woods. But I'm out here today on a new piece of property I've never hunted before. I've got permission. It's only about 27 acres. But these are what I call the hidden treasures. These little hidden treasures that we find on the side of the road that don't look like much to the naked eye. But most of my big bucks I've killed has come from places just like this. 14 acres, 10 acres, 25 acres. Here's about 27 or 28, whatever it is. I know it's under 30. You know, I've even killed them. I killed a real nice buck on 7 acres, you know, in the past. So these little hidden treasures that people drive right by and never think about a big buck using it, I'll tell you what, sometimes they really pay off. So that's what we got here. Now this property, I really don't know much about it. I'm just out here. This is the first time I've set foot on it. It's the first time I've kind of just walking around looking. I had the camera in the vehicle because I may not want to hunt here. You know, that's the thing about a piece of property. When you get out and you start walking and looking, it may not be worth a shucks. And you say, well, you know, I ain't interested. But I left the camera in the car, tripod, and I thought, well, I'm gonna go look around first. And boy, it didn't take me long to find just some unbelievable deer sign down in this little, what I call a cereal bowl, because that's what we got here. This whole property is a big hub. It's just a big cereal bowl, like a big thermal hub, what we would call it. It's just a big circle, and all the woods from the road and from the fields up here just comes straight down into what you see behind here. And this goes all the way up, and then it just circles back around and just like a big bowl, you know. So when you're hunting places like this, it can be tricky because you got a lot of thermals that's doing crazy stuff when you're just trying to hunt these, you know, these little hubs like this. You know, and your wind can be swirling, and you can be doing that, and it can be going down and up and down. And even with a steady wind in your face, man, you know, sometimes it can just switch so much more down in a place like this than, say, if you're hunting side of a hill or a ridge top or something where you've got a predominant wind. But don't overlook these little places, and don't let it scare you, because you can be successful in these cereal bowls, I call it. I don't know what you call it, but I call it, because that's what it reminds me of. It's just a you know, a bowl that you eat cereal out of. And that's what we have here. But man, there is sign everywhere. I mean, there's droppings, there's buck, doe droppings, there's big piles of matted buck droppings, there's little rubs, there's trails. I'll show it some. I'll get some on camera, and you're probably seeing it right now because I'll edit it in. But there's just these big, huge trails going around the side of this bowl. But that's not really what I'm looking for, because I know probably these big wide trails like that I'm kind of standing in right now is does and yearlings. I pretty much know that that's what's primarily going to be using these trails right here that looks like cattle paths. And there's no cows here, so I know it's deer, and the droppings are here to tell me. But what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the little, what I call feint trails. I'm looking for the little sign that's off of the main trails. That's what I'm looking for. I know just by spending a little bit of time on this property that most of the sign is right along the edges of this bowl. So what I'm going to do is look for the sign that's faint. You can't hardly tell it's there, but that's where the bucks kind of stage, you know, right before dark in early season. They feed on acorns. We got acorns in here. Looks like there's some oaks. We got, you know, some berries even. I see berries, little berry plants. So I'm looking for the sign, the little rubs, maybe the scrapes even, because they scrape all year long. I'm looking for the little scrapes. Now, they may not be the big breeder scrapes that you'll find in October and November, but I'm just kind of looking for the sign that's telling me that bucks are in here. Now, I know there's a good buck in here because I was told about him, and that's why I come up here to check this out. So I'm going to try to find out where he's at and that's what I'm looking for. So you come along and we'll see what this cereal bowl has for us. Nice. And right here's what I was talking about a little bit ago. When you get through some, now we just come through a wall of thickets. I'm already cut up with briars and stuff, so I'm gonna have to clean me a trail. But we was back there a few minutes ago. But just coming through here a little bit, look here, it opens up. All right, look how it opens up right on this little knob, and right here on this little, just right in here. You know, probably a 25-yard shot at the most. Okay, but it opens up. It comes right out of this thicket, and it's just like just a little. Probably just a little bitty open place, but this is a perfect place in these hubs for bucks, especially to come out. If you find faint trails, find that sign that's off the main sign, coming out of this stuff, and sit near it, and they stage right before dark usually. Right before dark, maybe 30 minutes or so, it's usually a late thing, but right before dark, before they venture out into open, they'll stage in these places just like this. So this is a perfect place where you can sit and possibly catch a nice buck coming out of these thickets that's been bedded back there, and you can be sitting here in these open little places where, I mean, if you were like right here in this tree, which I may not hunt right there in that tree, but I'm saying if I did, the farthest shot would be 25 yards. Okay, and then it goes right back in. You can see it goes right back into thickets up till you get to the top. So these little bitty pockets, it's almost like you think about these little hunting these, right in these little pockets, because that's where they're staging many times. Now, I'm probably going to, in these pockets like this would probably be a better tree stand place than it would on the ground. I'm not saying you couldn't hunt on the ground here, but you got to remember, when you're hunting on the ground, deers are more alert to things once they get into these areas of open. And so it can be a little bit tough on the ground. I'm not saying you can't, but it's probably better to be in a tree in a place like this. If I was going to hunt on the ground, which I probably might, I'll probably hunt in a ground blind. I'll find me a place that one of my Tidewe ground blinds. Sometimes I may just get up behind a tree and do it the old school way, if I have to. But I probably wouldn't do that right in here. I'd probably do it more toward the top. If I was going to hunt like right up toward the top somewhere, or somewhere where I felt more easy about the deers just traveling through instead of, spending a lot of time and just kind of milling, I'd want to find a place where deers are just kind of traveling from point A to point B, and they're not really on a destination right there where you're sitting at on the ground. It's kind of, you're just getting them as they're coming through. But in these places like this, these are where the bucks, especially, and does, and stuff, but especially bucks, are going to spend time before they get out into, up here where everybody can see them. They're going to spend time in these little bitty stages just like this in these thickets. So this is I'm going to mark this spot right here on my Onyx, because I may want to put a stand right here in this open. But as you can see, this is the first opening through all that thick stuff. But when you're hunting a place like this, again, be cautious of your entrance. I may not want to come that way, and probably don't, because it might be bedded. So I may want to come in from another way to come in here, so I don't disturb back here where they're bedded. So you got to think about that stuff, and you may have to go the long way around. You may have to go not the easiest way around, but it's the right way around. Because if you're coming through the bedding and you're coming through places where you've already spooked them at 3:30 when you're coming into your stand, game's over. So you might want to come from another way and cut you a path and kind of just pre-make you a path in there that's easy, slip into your stand, sit there, and I don't know, I may come in from that way. I may just come in from, if I was going to hunt here, I may try to find an access in this way and come around. Don't just come straight down this hill where they might see you, but come, stay in the thicket and kind of just come like this and into here, instead of coming right back there where the car's parked and coming down this way where it'd be quicker. So you got to think about that stuff. But we'll learn this. But like I said, hunting small properties can be great. You just got to hunt them very disciplined, and you got to get in there and just kind of put the pieces together. But right here's one of the prime things I was talking about back there. You get through these thickets and you find these little open places, and these open places many times is where you're going to find a place to arrow a buck at. Man, there's just droppings everywhere. All right, I'm seeing all kinds of doe sign, like, you know, doe droppings and looks like yearling droppings. I mean, they're just everywhere. They look like rain. That's just something's just rained them down all through here. Okay, and I'm seeing these big, like cattle paths of trails going up and down through here. All right, so we just came through a little bit more thickets, and now we're back to where the back of the property here, kind of, you know, toward the back. All right. So I'm not really seeing the buck sign that I really thought I'd see. Okay, now that's not got me discouraged, and I'll tell you why. This makes me wonder if maybe this is a doe hub. This is a place where does are just congregating and staying historically. Because what I'm seeing is a lot of these trails have been here for a few years. This is not something that's just been done, you know, the last year or the last few months or the last few weeks. This is a historical, a lot of these runs you can just tell has been here over the years. So what's that tell me? That tells me deers have been unpressured, because there's not really anybody that's hunted in here that I've understood. There's not really been anybody that's hunted here for a few years. And they've been unpressured, and they're doing the same thing. Okay, they're not pressured. That's a check for us. That's a check mark. Okay, and it also tells me that the does have got sort of a pattern. They've sort of got a way, they sort of got a thing they like to do. And that's why you're seeing all this doe historical sign. Now, when I was in Missouri, you know, for a few years, I hunted a 17-acre piece of property where I shot 4 really good bucks, and 3 of them's on my wall today. You know, 4 off of 17 acres. Now, on that property, I never saw a big deer hardly in October or September. Season opened the 15th of September out there. You could hunt there September, you could hunt there October, most of it, and never see a mature deer. Just wasn't there. You'd see does, you'd see all kinds of does. You'd go down there all the time and see does. You'd shoot a couple does for the freezer early, but you never would see hardly an antlered buck. And if you did see an antlered buck, it was just, you know, a yearling or a year-and-a-half-old buck or 2-year-old buck. But right about the 25th, 26th, 27th of October, all of a sudden, it was just like you flipped the light switch on, and on the cameras that had been hanging there since September, bam, there was a big buck. Bam, there was another big buck. Bam, there was another big buck. And we'd have 4 or 5 big deer, you know, 130, 140, 150 class deer right around our stands during this time. You know, but then you'd hunt them deer, and sometimes you'd get lucky and kill one, or kill one rifle season, kill one bow season by the 1st of November. But you had to catch them deer in about a 3 or 4 week period, and that was when, you know, right there in the seeking phase when bucks were really cruising, because they knew that was that all year long does traveled that 17 acres. The bucks didn't. They went somewhere else. They, you know, they summered somewhere and they wintered somewhere, and they sprung, you know, in spring they went somewhere else. But right there in about a 3 or 4 week period, they'd come right to that 17 acres and they'd stay there. That may be what happens here, you know. Now they've seen a nice buck around here, okay, so I know that there could be one. There's probably one that's hanging around, but he may not be staying here, because I'm not really seeing anything that indicates a lot of bucks are really there that's here. Now, right when we first walked in, I saw a little rub and I saw some buck droppings, and that kind of got me excited. But since then, I ain't seen nothing but a bunch of doe stuff. Now, this tells me this. I'm going to maybe come in here early season, maybe shoot me a doe right quick. But I'm really going to probably observe the first couple of weeks. I'm not going to be in here a whole lot. I don't want to be pushing, and because it's a small piece, you don't want to just be coming in here all the time. But when I do, I want to observe and see where the deers are moving, and see kind of historically what they've been doing over the years. Put some cameras in here and that'll tell you some stuff, but I want to see physically what they're doing. Okay, now once you start getting into that last of October, I'm sitting here already thinking about it. They're probably going to be walking not in this bowl, but they're probably going to be walking on the sides, right, like here right behind me. See this thick, you know, slope? You know, this is pretty steep. That's where the bucks usually are going to be cruising, because all the big main trails is going right in the middle, and right up here, just a little bit off of his, coming out of these thickets, out, and these big doe runs. They're going to be checking this stuff in the rut. And when the estrus starts rising, they're going to be starting to check this. So I'm already going to try to make some plans on where I want to move my stand when it comes to that time, or where I maybe want to move a ground blind, or maybe I want to just set up behind a tree, you know, because if I'm going to ground hunt, like I said, I'd rather ground hunt where it's not right here when they come right out of this thickets and into these open places. I want to be where they're just kind of cruising, where they're just, you know, kind of from point A to point B. But I'm going to be thinking about this. So just because you're hunting or you're scouting a place and you don't see a lot of buck sign, don't get discouraged, because the big deer may come in there later. Especially look for a lot of doe sign, and that's what I'm seeing. So that's just something you might want to remember. But I feel like later on, these little steep hillsides around this cereal bowl might be the ticket. So you just got to think about that. But these are just little things that you got to prepare for. I'm going to come back in here in just a few days and put a stand up, put a couple Tidewe blinds up, and get ready, because I feel like we might kill a deer right here on this place. So hope that helps some of you, and get out there and be scouting and looking. And hey, make sure to subscribe to this channel, subscribe to Dell Outdoors. We've got a lot more deer hunting strategies and deer hunts coming, and we've got maybe some fall turkey hunting stuff coming. So stay tuned, make sure to subscribe, make sure to check out all of our, the partners in the links below. Make sure to check out Tidewe.com, where you can get blinds and get some of the good deer hunting stuff and the heated jackets for this winter. You don't want to miss that heated clothing stuff. That stuff really works. So make sure to click on Tidewe, use the promo code DALE, even for a better discount. But make sure to check out all of our sponsors in the links below, and we'll see you in the next video.